Hey everyone, it is ex-Bethelite here. It is Memorial Day 2021, the last day of May. It's hard to believe the summer is upon us already. Time is just going by pretty quick here. A week since I did my last, I'm a little shocked. I don't check my channel all that often. So I checked it this morning and I saw these comments. And I went from having like 8 or 9 subscribers to having like 321 now. My last video had like over 5,000 views, which is absolutely crazy. So I appreciate everybody who's joined my channel as a subscriber, people that comment. I try to respond to most of the comments. Yeah, it's encouraging. It makes me want to do more of these videos and just touch on different subjects. So today I wanted to talk about the rise of apostates, the rise of apostasy. I think there's some cool things to talk about it. And, you know, I just remember growing up, they would always, being in the religion, in the cult, they would always point to, how do we know, what are some of the markers of it being God's one and only true religion? And one of the markers, or one of the things always spouted out, was constantly that the growth of the organization, right? The growth. So I would always point to that as being the reason we know it's the truth, and this kind of stuff. So I remember that being absolutely driven into my brain all the time when I go to meetings or conventions. That was constantly being emphasized over and over again. Look at the growth. Look, we're in all these new countries. We're in 208 lands around the world. This was always pointed to as the reason it's the truth, the reason it's God's only true religion. So where we are today is anyone can casually observe, looking even at resources coming out of the Jehovah's Witness organization when it comes to their annual reporting of numbers, growth, all that. There's little to no growth in most developed countries. In fact, many countries, there's decline right now in the number of witnesses that are reporting field service time, things of that nature, that are ways to earmark the amount of activity going on. And then the only growth they're really having is in certain countries in Africa that have, a lot of problems. There's just a lot of issues in certain countries. And so, of course, people in those countries are searching for anything to give them hope, right? So, and we know that there is that pull from the way they preach, to pull in people with that false hope that everything's going to be better. All we need is a new world and things will be perfect. So we know, and if you come from a country that is just very, very bad economically, and a lot of unrest and violence, and it's those type of things are easy to pull people in. So you can see why there's a lot of countries where if there is any growth, it's in those countries. And just like XJW, Anita says, yeah, they love bomb people. That's one of the ways once they get somebody who maybe comes to the meeting, that's one of the ways they try to get their hooks in you, is to love bomb them. We all know that, being in the cult for many, many years. So really, I'm going to share my screen here. I appreciate some of the people in the chat already. I think this is my first live stream. I think my previous videos were just recorded and then I posted them. So this will be my first live stream. So bear with me if I'm not the best technically at doing this. I'm still learning. I'm not always tech savvy here, but I think I can figure out how to share my screen. Let me do that real quick. So we'll look at, first off, I just Googled apostasy real fast. This is the typical definition, comes from the Greek, apostasia. I don't know how to pronounce the Greek pronunciation of that, but it means a defection or revolt. It is the formal disaffiliation from, abandonment of, or renunciation. I can't see that well. Should put my readers on. Or renunciation of a religion by a person. It can also be defined within the broader context of embracing an opinion that is contrary to one's previous religious beliefs. So that definition is basically just someone who, it always used to mean someone who just no longer believes, right? I believe this, I no longer do. And that was considered apostasy, or just a leaving of the religion. But the witnesses, as we well know, have sort of altered the definition. They have altered it to be not only someone who doesn't believe anymore, but someone who is on Satan's side and is manipulative and trying to turn people's faith. I mean, that's one way they look at it, right? For us who are out, we view it as it's a way for us to wake people up. We're trying to wake people up and use critical thinking skills. On my channel, I'm not promoting any other religious beliefs. I'm not talking you should believe this. I believe whatever you want. All I want is to wake people up out of cults that are definitely proven to be destructive. So I don't care if it's Mormonism, Jehovah's Witness, Scientology. You know, there are several earmarkers that make a so-called religion a cult, and it's not hard to figure that out. Really, it's any group that, if you're critical to the group, they immediately try to shun or shame you. That's a cult. That's easily the first earmarker. So I wanted to start off with that definition of what really apostasy is. It's really just someone who leaves a religion or leaves a particular faith. But the witnesses have altered that. Another definition here: what is the meaning of apostasy in the Bible? An act of refusing to continue to follow, obey, or recognize a religious faith. The abandonment of the previous loyalty or defection. So that's really all it is. It's just somebody who decides, I don't want to have those beliefs anymore. I'm leaving it. It has nothing to do, the origin of the term had nothing to do with somebody who was demonic or was on the side of Satan and promoting the destruction of other people's faiths. That is completely made up by the Jehovah's Witnesses. They've altered that definition, and to this day they stand by it. So I thought it was interesting to bring that out. The other thing I wanted to share with you guys here, let me share another screen. So I think one of the best sites for waking people up is jwfacts.com. This is a website that is very well organized. It has a very nice format. You're going into doctrines. If you're someone who wants to explore certain doctrines, why do Jehovah's Witnesses believe this? It goes into all kinds of topics that are absolutely critical if you want to continue to believe the cult of Jehovah's Witnesses. So you have 607, 1914, the 7 times, all the numerology that's involved with. Originally, they were called the Bible students, right? They didn't get the name Jehovah's Witnesses until 1935, I believe. So prior to that, they were called the Bible students. And then they were called basically just followers of Charles Taz Russell. But then they called themselves the Bible students and then the International Bible Students. But I like how the format of the website goes into all the different kind of markers of why do they believe these particular doctrines and how easily they can be debunked. So, everything from numerology with coming up with dates and end times, which all that stuff. I mean, that alone, just that first point of how they were completely wrong about the end times. Remember, they were all saying that the end wrong about that. The name. In fact, how they even came up with the date 1914 is incorrect because they use 607 BCE, which I would give them some benefit of the doubt if I could find one source, one academic source, third-party source that would agree with that date 607. If we could find one archaeological expert, somebody who is an expert in figuring out these dates, looking at historical records, anybody that would substantiate that 607 date, one person, all you need is one, can't get one. So right away, the first doctrinal point completely destroys the truth of the religion. All their dates are way off now, right? They're all off because it's really 587 was the destruction of Jerusalem, not 607. And every single third-party academic source that you can look into on this all confirm 587 is definitely the more accurate date, not 607. So, I mean, I love how this website just goes right into, I mean, that's just the biggest hot button right there because, that was a definite differential mark of a Jehovah's Witness versus most other religions. They believed, hey, we're the only one that got this date right. We're the only ones that knew that the last days started in 1914. Of course, they were completely wrong. They were saying the end was coming in 1914. So there's scriptures in the Bible that said once a prophet has been shown to be false, you need to turn away. Right there, boom, that proves that it's a false religion. It always has been since day one, basically. Then, of course, you've got birthday celebrations, which that is also one that stumps everybody. My wife, when she was studying, there was a period of time where she was interested in the religion, so she studied with a couple of witnesses up here in the Tampa Bay area. And that was one point that they could never resolve because she said, hey, what about all these holidays? Especially she could understand maybe the point on Halloween, maybe Christmas, things like that, because of the adoption of and infusion of a lot of those pagan ceremonies. Yeah, I mean, that's easily explained and could be justified, if someone decides they don't want to celebrate because of those reasons. But birthdays, there's no scriptural basis at all in the Bible against celebrating a birthday. And of course, witnesses, especially the governing body, love to control people's behavior, and this was a control mechanism that they used. And there's a lot of people back in the 70s when they incorporated this. I think it was in the early 1970s when they came out with you can no longer celebrate birthdays. And their cited reference is just two instances in the Bible. One was in Genesis and the other one in Matthew, where there's a mention of a birthday. And of course, it wasn't a birthday with God's people. Doesn't mean God's people didn't celebrate birthdays. There's no evidence to the contrary. But because of those two referenced, mentioned, and of course the context of those birthdays, something bad happened, or it was obviously the beheading of John the Baptist in one occasion. The other one had to do with Pharaoh and the killing of Pharaoh's baker or something like that. I think it was personal baker. So both instances, because there's a negative context there, I don't know why they try to formulate the concept that that birthdays are bad because of that. There's no biblical evidence of that at all. So that was always something that my wife would point out to the people she was studying with. And of course, they had no real answer other than what they were told to say by the Watchtower, which is just citing these two different events of a birthday. And, oh, you know, it was bad, you know, nothing good happened from there. So therefore, we can draw the conclusion that Jehovah must not like birthdays. It's completely ridiculous. And of course, the easy refute to that is just say, well, what about dogs? There's a lot more mention of dogs in the Bible, over 40 references in the Bible, and every one of them is mentioned in a disparaging way, unclean, lowly, all these negative connotations towards dogs. So shouldn't we not have a dog today? You know, if you want to go along with the line of reasoning that we shouldn't celebrate birthdays, then we shouldn't own a dog, or we shouldn't be around dogs. Dogs should be viewed in a very negative way, which of course is completely ridiculous. You know, of course, they talk about makeup, eye paint is mentioned twice in the Bible. You know, these are all things that would be completely ridiculous to try to say today, oh, you should be disfellowshipped over this. But if you try to celebrate a birthday, if you're a Jehovah's Witness right now and you try to celebrate someone's birthday and have people over, you will be disfellowshipped in the congregation. So, you know, so why is there a rise of apostates today? Well, I think the biggest reason is the freedom of information. When I was growing up, you know, I was born in 1972, so the height of the religion was really right around the early 80s. If you look at all the graphs of peak of publishers, the amount of hours, all that stuff, it all peaked like in the early 80s. Now, of course, there are more Jehovah's Witnesses today than there were in the 80s, and that has nothing to do with the growth of the religion. That has everything to do with birth rate, right? There's just more people on the planet. If you take a percentage of the people in 1982 versus the people on the planet at that time versus today, there was way higher percentage of Jehovah's Witnesses in the early 80s than there is today, even though the amount of witnesses is higher. It's because of birth rate. It's just the population of the earth is so much bigger. And that point is easy to reason on. It's not something that's very difficult to understand. But I really think that the reason you've got just this huge growth in the rise of apostates, websites, YouTube channels like mine. I mean, it's really because I think there's been so much damage done to families through, of course, shunning. I think that's the most egregious part of these cults is how they treat people and the abuse that goes on. You know, especially child abuse, how they've covered that up. That's been very well documented to a point now where you know, it's just really turning anybody from coming into that cult, into that religion. But the growth of the apostasy, the rise of the apostates, as I like to call it, is just the internet itself, just the freedom of information. In the 70s and 80s, there was no internet then. If you were a Jehovah's Witness, how would you learn about how the religion was really false? How would you come across information? It was basically a handful of people that were picketing and protesting outside of conventions, right? I remember them. I would see groups of these people, and of course, everyone treated them like, oh, they're the devil, they're evil people. Look at these apostates, they're terrible. You know, there was this stigma that was associated with them. And all these people were trying to do is these were people that were suffering. They used to be former members. They were ousted. They were maybe disfellowshipped. They woke up basically, like all of us today, right? They woke up, and there was no internet back then. So how did they try to wake other people up? Well, they handed out literature. They printed their own. They took the time to print their own literature, print their own refuting of doctrines. Of course, the biggest is the book by Ray Franz, Crisis of Conscience. Until that book came out, there was really nothing out there for people to grab onto, to sort of pull them and wake them up from the cult. So today, the apostate, the real growth is the growth of apostates. Amazing. There's so many people left. People I know from my childhood. I've talked to several people that have woken up recently, just in the last few years, and a lot of it's because they watched YouTube channels like mine, like Lloyd Evans' channel, Goat Like Personality. There's a bunch of really, really good channels out there. Telltale, he's got a good one as well. They're entertaining. They're really good at providing reasoning and information. My channel is not the best. I'm just trying to give you my experience, to see things through the way I see things. I'm a former Jehovah's Witness. I was baptized at the age of 16 years old. I'm 48 years old now, so I've been out since I turned, I think it was age 33 is when I left. So I've been out for quite a few years. I'm an ex-Bethelite. I was a ministerial servant in the congregation, about to be made an elder. So I had a lot of responsibility and was very, very, very well respected. I gave talks quite a bit in the congregation. I was fairly intelligent young man. I had a pretty good head on my shoulders. So, I'm talking from my background of being in the cult, in the religion, still have family in today, still have family that shunned me today. And really, it would have been, I think when I was coming out of it, JW Fax was maybe 2 or 3 years after I had left. I'd been disfellowshipped. I just basically got away from everything. Then I started to really look into, why should I ever look at going back to this religion? And so that's when I started looking at things on the internet. And I'd been away from it for a while, so that I didn't feel that pressure or guilt like a lot of people probably feel, witness today that may perhaps stumble upon something, or they check out a YouTube video, and I see witnesses. They watch videos. They've watched mine. They've made comments in my own videos, so I know they're watching them. And I'm nice to them. I thank them for watching the video. I tell them I appreciate their courage for at least looking into these things. I think it's important to have that. I wish I had that available to me when I was going through all that stuff. And I know I can speak. I've talked to many ex-witnesses before the rise of the internet, like you see today, and they went through very tough times, and it would have been much easier for them had they had the resources that you have today, where you have JW Fax, where you can go into doctrine, you can go into all kinds of detail to reaffirm in your own mind and use critical thinking that, yes, this religion is false, it's a cult, let me get away from it, let me wake up from that. Or you've got YouTube videos where you're hearing right from somebody directly that it has been going, or it did go through the exact same thing you're going through right now. So my hope is that these videos get out to a certain amount of Jehovah's Witnesses out there that are starting to have those doubts in their mind. They're starting to use their critical thinking and using their brain to understand that something isn't right here, right? Something is just not right. And the birthday thing always bothered me. It always bothered me. And then, of course, when I got disfellowshipped, I've talked about this on my channel before, the other thing that really, really bothered me was the fact that the prodigal son, if you really read through the prodigal son parable by Jesus, it's very, very apparent that the father was not shunning his son. The father did not make his son sit in the back of the kingdom hall for 6 months to a year, doing some type of penance where everyone would ignore you and treat you as though you are dead. That's completely not Bible-based at all. So I just think it's really important to just highlight why there is a rise of apostates. It's because people are tired of seeing injustice. That's the reason I did my channel. I was tired of I just wanted to add, I guess I just wanted to add my part, my experiences to help other people. There's a lot of channels out there, a lot of good channels. I've been watching them for years. I watch them all the time. And they really help you get through, we all have those moments where we just feel unsure. That's part of indoctrination. Indoctrination is very destructive to the mind, and it takes a long time to overcome it. So I think that all the activism that's being done today is really helpful in many, many ways. And I think this website, JW Facts, it's, to me, in my opinion, it's the best website out there because of how easy it is to navigate it, go through all different types of issues and doctrines, and why do witnesses think this way? Why is this wrong? It's just very, very, very well done. I think the gentleman that runs the website is his last name Grundy? I think it is. Paul Grundy? Yeah, there it is, Paul Grundy. He started it in 2005. So I left in, when did I leave? 2005, 2006. So like a year or two after I had left, I think JW Facts was on the internet. So I don't know if it would have been on the internet right when I had left. It was right around that time. But it's just, I feel really bad for witnesses, ex-witnesses that came out during, before the internet. I mean, it would have just been so difficult to do that. I think it's just so much easier now. There's so much information, support groups. There's local support groups you can get involved with of ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. They get together on a regular basis. I'm thinking about doing that in my own local area, is maybe joining one of those just to see where I could help. I've got a channel that I think will grow, a platform that I think will grow over time. Who knows? Maybe you'll see me invited to come on one of the other channels as an interview. That'd be great. I'd love to do that. I've always thought about that. It'd be cool if I could be invited on another YouTuber's channel. That would certainly help. So I just wanted to post this video about the rise of apostates. I think it's a great thing. It really is opening up people's minds to critical thinking. And that's the reason I started this channel. I want to do my part to help out with activism. And I've had a lot of encouraging comments from people. So I really do appreciate everybody that leaves a comment. Please do so. I try to comment on all of them and reply to all of them. Feel free to ask me any questions that you would like. I'd be more than happy to respond to that. All right, guys, that's all I had for you. It's the last day of May, Memorial Day. Hopefully all of you had the day off today and are enjoying time with family. I'm doing that as well. And it's a nice day off and nice day to reflect on things. And certainly, I'm not going to comment too much. I don't talk about politics or anything like that on my channel. But, there is value in understanding the service of people in the military. They definitely have served, and they deserve respect. So just wanted to give a shout out and a thank you to all people in the military, ex-military, veterans. Memorial Day is a special day to think upon all the great things that there's evil in the world, and there are people that have stood up against it, and thank goodness there's people out there that do that. So it's very good that we have brave souls and courageous people out there in the world. All right, everybody, hope you have a great Memorial Day. I'll post another video maybe in another week or two. I'm going to try to do one every 2 weeks or so. I'll get on a regular schedule with this, and everyone have a great holiday, and I'll see you soon.